Hello, 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 hello. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Hi everyone. How you doing, y'all? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Are we live? Awesome. Hi. How are you? How's it going? The mandatory cozy cup here. Oh, sorry, that's not the cozy cup. I'm using an alternate cup today. Let us log on to our characters, see what's up. I haven't played this haven't played this since in a long while. I seem to recall we did some other things last time. We made a hat last time, right? If I recall correctly. So today I'm thinking we can do a couple of things. Number one, play a little on this character. Number two, if you feel like it, if you're up for it, we can maybe do some art, or alternatively, wow, oh, I don't even, there's some of the stuff that I've been given as gifts, some of the food there. New curiosities, pop that on. So someone has left a ton of signs here. So with those, praise be. All right, so those are all the signs that people had placed around my base, all gathered together in a nice and this is the painting that I received last time with strange hairdo on. The people did indeed demand Loftar, and I actually had half a mind to bring Loftar on, but then I kind of forgot to actually do so. So we may have to give that another go for next month instead, which I think is probably going to be better anyway, because I think he'll have more to talk about, more meaningful things to talk about, and maybe even show in terms of the client rendering rewrite. Which is been working on it for like what, soon, well, a year and a half, so that's a new speed record, I'm sure, but apparently it's coming together, so at least we're rendering stuff now, so it seems like a step forward in my opinion. And yeah, we could also have a quick look at, oops, all the patches that we have gone through since last time. This one was posted just a couple of days before last stream, and in this patch we kind of fleshed out the angler fish that we added to the caves. Thought that was a nice touch. And also added a lamp stalk herb, which the cave angler's angling sprout is kind of intended to mimic this this lantern herb that now grows in the dark underwaters of the hearth. And Zentit69 says, "You got a haircut. Why don't you let your hair grow long like a proper bearded Viking?" That's a good question, because I kind of like the contrast there of having the long beard with the short hair. I think, you know, if you do long on both, you run a distinct risk of looking unkempt or Jesus-like. Either one. Shamani asks when New World is coming. I have no announcements on that. Nothing new to impart on you. So here we have another patch we made with cave lice. And this is we kind of stepped up the project that I've been referring to continuously over the past, I don't know what, but for some time, and considered a cave angler, an angler hat. It's not a bad idea. Should literally just put an overlay on the stream that says no new world announcement, says Ardance TV. Yeah, maybe I should get that out of the way. But we added cave lice, and maybe I can even show those on the dev server. Aussies asks, new world when? I wish I knew, man. I have nothing to tell you. Cave lice. So we added these bad boys. Which are, they come in a pack. They're not particularly aggressive, but they're pretty feisty if you do attack them. So I thought they were a nice touch to the cave life. And see what else we added. This one was a fun patch. We added dynamic coloring to cows. I'm not sure I'm particularly happy about the textures. Maybe we could do that. Try to make another texture for the cow. That could be a worthwhile project, I think. I'm not sure I could actually get it into the game for you, but Ardance TV says, I hate your new cows. Well, that's constructive of you. But I thought it was fun anyway, that you can argue about okay, so you don't like the cow, you don't like, but I mean, you have to kind of agree that the idea is cool at least. So what's the problem? Obviously there's a problem with the execution somewhere so try to narrow it down. What is it that you're actually not, satisfied with? But yeah, we added that anyway, and we also did I mention that? Yeah, we added support for wounds to be. Let's see if I can I add wound. Indeed, add wound. Concussion maybe. Yeah, I think I can add. There we go. We added support for the hell hold compress, right? There we go. For treating wounds in a hierarchical manner. So instead of the soothing cold debuff to wounds, or the soothing cold buff to wounds, a treatment effect or whatever, instead of that, simply canceling out the concussion effect entirely, we instead, superimpose the soothing cold over the concussion, which means that we retain the original wounds. So basically we retain the original wounds, which means that we can do a lot more cool effects in terms of like interactions between wounds, and generally just get away a little bit from the paradigm where you instantly treat all the wounds that you ever receive and then never have to worry about any or either of them again. So I think that was a nice change. It was one that we've been wanting to make for some time, and it's somewhat invasive change. It took a bit of a rewrite to accomplish it, but I thought it was worth it. Thought it was interesting enough. And yeah, then the last patch since last stream was the Fruitless Conch update. Conch. I hear it's pronounced conch with a K rather than a sh. So if you know how that's supposed to be pronounced, do let me know. Is it conch or conch? Conch, I think. English is such a horrible language. But anyway, we added a huge giant snail to the caves. And in case you haven't actually seen one live and in person, here we go. It's pretty cool. Someone asked for the ability to tame cave creatures, and this might just be a candidate for that. It would be really cool to ride on one of these. Ozzy says, increase spawn rate of conch, please. I never saw that creature. Lunarius Haberdash says, the answer is yes. Both forms are acceptable according to the dictionary. Alright, there we go. That's clarity on that issue at least. But yeah, I was kind of happy with this one. It was actually fun to make. I can show you here we go. Here's the Blender file. That's the one I had opened even. It was actually I'd never done a creature like this before, where you have a creature that is this amorphous, so to speak. I did do the jelly, I suppose, but the challenge here was obviously the animation where by which the let's see exactly by which the creature kind of draws back into its shell, and in order to accomplish this, I had to do a skeletal binding that I'd never done before, which I thought was, you know, an interesting challenge at least. So basically the trick was to use fairly small bones so that you can distort fairly small bones, fairly, I guess I could have gone smaller with these, but anyway, fairly, you know, with space between them and unconnected. So basically by doing that, by keeping the bones unconnected and with, you know, large amounts of space between them, you can deform the mesh in hideous ways, which is obviously then, whoops, a necessity if we want the snail to be able to crawl into its shell. I wasn't, when I started this, I wasn't actually sure that I was going to be able to pull that effect off, but yeah, I did, so I was happy about that. It was a fun one to both paint, animate, implement. I thought it was a nice addition. It's a bit more magical than we usually like to make things, I guess, but then again, there's a permanent exception made for the cave levels and cave creatures. We take far more extensive liberties with the realism on the lower cave levels. I think, yeah. It's a reasonable distinction to make that the above ground areas are usually fairly low-key fantasy with mostly realistic creatures, whereas the cave levels, again, make more room for art and fun and fantasy. And I also like the thing that when we've done fantasy creatures, we've, you know, basically a lot of them that I've made are, you know, terrified versions or you know, grotesque versions of you know, somewhat real creatures. I mean, there are obviously snails, just not huge snails like that. So let's see what we're doing with our little dorky character. So those are the patches since last time. Obviously these patches are still small since, you know, the client rendering rewrite being the big project and everything. But I'm optimistic that there may at some point come a light at the end of the client rendering rewrite tunnel, hoping that's not a train. And also obviously there's no way that any client rendering rewrite can possibly live up to, you know, the expectations that a year and a half of development time can impart on an update. But Lofter is doing some pretty cool things. It's not merely about performance, really. It's also about like future purposes and everything. One of the things one of the primary things that he's doing is that he's basically written an entire layer of abstraction on top of the languages that you use to communicate with the graphics card, such as OpenGL, which is what we're using now, and Vulkan, which is kind of the future of OpenGL, the next version of it, if you like. So OpenGL is 20 something odd years old, and so it has some, you know, problems due to its age. So basically, it's I don't want to go into it too much, but one of the things, yeah, at some point we imagined that we would have to upgrade to Vulkan, and what Lofter has done is that he's written a layer of abstraction by which the game could, you know, presumably run on either, so that, you know, it could basically be a toggle that you could, you know, switch on and off whether you wanted to use Vulkan or OpenGL. And that is, to anyone who's even remotely, hey, whoa, we found salt. We found a salt basin with salt in it. I haven't been this salty in a good while. Let's get that salt. But yeah, a layer of abstraction over the whole, like, communicating with the graphics card. And that's pretty cool, because Vulkan, you know, is the future, and it could, in and of itself, presumably, you know, imply at least venues for optimizations and improvements and blah 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 blah. Now, granted, you know, this project was always bigger than I imagined that it would be, but and had I known that we were going full retard with this, I'm not sure I would have gone for this. But here we are, and at least, you know, according to Loftar's recent screenshot posts, he can now render the map and stuff. So I think that's at least some real and tangible results. So I'm fairly excited about that, and I'm just at this point I don't even really care anymore. Like it's just taken so long that I'm just, you know, thrilled to at anything good that comes out of it. So I'm just longing to have it over and done with, so that we can return to some meaningful. Or, you know, I hope this will be meaningful. I think it will be. You know, we're going to see some performance improvements at least. Time will tell how big they will actually be, and if we will at the end of that feel that all of this was worth it. But hey, at least I hope we've built for the future. So I'm happy about that. Yeah. Other than that, obviously, on the topic of building bridges and stuff, often requested feature. You know, the next big project is going to be object control objects. So, which is TalkMix asks precisely that: what big things are in store after the client rendering rewrite? My immediate priority would be, if we're talking in terms of new implementations, at least there's always a big thing in. Numinatoran says, I told Loftar to rewrite the client, and he's actually doing it. Absolute madman. Well, there's rewriting the client, and there's rewriting the client. When we spoke of this, we spoke of it in terms of client optimizations, and I'm not sure, like, my definition of an optimization includes a cardinal rewrite of the entire client. But anywho, obviously this is not news to me now. I mean, I've known for at least 6 months what we're actually up to. So, but no hard feelings. No hard feelings. I mean, I have nothing but respect for Loftar and his work. It's a big ass thing he's doing, and so indeed. But right, the big things that we have coming up. There are, you know, big continuous projects that are always big and always relevant, such as combat, siege, maybe even food. We want to look at food, obviously. We want to look at combat. We want to look at siege. But those are kind of always on our radar. But in terms of more, you know, new implementations, object control objects would be top of my mind. This is obviously something that we've spoken at length about, but the idea behind object control objects is that right now the character must sort of have a fixed location in the map space, so the map kind of owns the player, so to speak. That's not really true, but the player is, you know, one of the aspects of a player is that he always kind of has a position on the map, and his locality or location is primarily defined in relationship to the map. And what we want to do is to change it so that a player or an object can also be determined, you know, be controlled in relation to another object, effectively be owned by another object. So, for example, a bridge could own a hearthling, so that the hearthling could then walk in, you know, on a plane defined or set by the bridge, you know, as, you know, however the bridge would like to set it, I suppose. Long story short, you'd be able to walk on bridges, which would be pretty cool. So, Ozzy says, Bruderbona, let us kill mosquito swarms. It's really, really, really making me annoying as want to stop play it. Oh, goodness. That means you have to be really annoyed there. But yeah, the object control objects is like the big next thing that I want to do, and I also, you know, there are also a bunch of dungeons that I'd like to implement. Our target for this year, my target, or official, what I wrote when I was kind of setting up some goals for this year's development, was to implement 5 new dungeons. We've managed 1, so I'm suspecting that, as someone wrote on the forums, last year's roadmap is going to look awfully similar, or the next year's roadmap rather is going to look awfully similar to this year's roadmap. But hey, them's the beats. That is what that is, and you know, I trust in the Lord and hope that things take the time they need to take. I think we've been fairly diligent. I mean, we work every week, delivering the good people of the hearth the patches that they know, love, and have come to expect. So we gathered some curios. We are now full on our mental weight there. Whoa, 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 whoa! Can I kill this? I should be able to kill this, right? Surely. Not with any ease. Ardance TV says, remove female cow horns. Ree! Autistic screeching. But cows have horns though, right? Well, I should have realized that the stupid bird would just fly away from me. Oh, stupid bird. Why you fly away? Did we get any interesting wounds? We still have 1 point of nerve damage. Let's try to visit a... go check that clay pit, maybe. Where is the other guy? Yeah. Let's go home, dump our shit, and go see Garroning. Lunarius Haberdash suggests mosquito repellent rushlights. Rushlight. What is a rushlight? This word I do not know. Fingini says, the way vehicles and horses work, is it just that the player position is set to that of the vehicle object? Yes, pretty much. In addition to animations. Yes, pretty much. So there's no real transfer of fundamental, real and meaningful ownership there. It's just that it's precisely what you imagine. Which is also kind of ugly, because it causes in the past at least it's caused various issues with in terms of like wall jumps and shit, strange kind of things that tend to happen when you kind of abuse or break the integrity of a player's position or something, or like that. So ideally, there could be some space there to rework some of the vehicles as well. Speaking of which, the wagon is really terrible, right? Like the Conestoga looking wagon. There's no real use for that, is there? Like apart from outside storage vehicle. I'm kind of curious how you think that should work. I've been looking at wanting to change it, a couple of times, because I've never been satisfied with it. So I think we did a good thing for the Nar, in that you can now teleport home with it. I thought that was a good change, and like ideally, I suppose I I could consider removing the female horn on the cow. I'm not apodictically opposed to that. We can make a note of it. But don't make a note while you're using the firebrand there. Lunarius Haberdash is on his masochistic mood as always. What do you perceive to be wrong with the wagon? No, you did not. That was a horrible change. I don't know about that, Lunarius. I thought it was kind of terrible that how you, with before that, you know, every time you would ever venture out with your boat without being able to teleport home, like you basically sign up for the home trip as well, which means that, like, if anything comes up in real life that, you know, causes you to have to, you know, close the game down for whatever reason, then, you know, suddenly your boat is left out in the wilderness. I thought that was, you know, which means that you never want to take the boat anywhere, because you're just gonna, you know, be kind of paranoid that you're gonna have to leave it, or, you know, kind of log off. I didn't like that at all, and I don't like that with the wagons either. So you take the wagon for a spin, right? And what happens is, you know, takes you hours to drive anywhere meaningful, and then you have to drive hours back. Not only is the return trip kind of boring, but also, you know, as I said, like, if anything comes up in real life, which, you know, calls for your attention, like just even going to the bathroom or whatever, like, then suddenly, you know, your wagon is, not only your wagon, but also your draft animals are left out in the middle of nowhere with no one to care for them or anything. So I didn't like that at all. In my area, says Maglormelwansu, in my area, several people moved in with the wagons, so they are more of a one-way trip. Yeah, I could see that. Like, if you wanted to move your entire base or whatever, then I could certainly see using a wagon. Yeah, I mean, creating locality is, I mean, there's certainly some argument for that. I mean, it's not like we've implemented completely arbitrary teleportation, I don't think, at least. So it's not like I'm entirely against. Can I swim? Can I swim that little brook there? Could I swim that? Not sure. Dare I try it? I think I dare try it. We'll try it. We'll try it. We shall try it. We shall swim. We shall brave the depths. Fear not, Hearthlings. We're braving the depths. Nolmik says, maybe wagon with autoclaim, with theft or vandalism required to mess with it. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not really sure how that will work. Like, it seems like there's, like, if you can't mess with the wagon just because there's a claim on it, it seems to me that leaves an awful lot of room for using the wagons for various untoward purposes, like blocking people's gates and shit, which I wouldn't like. But I mean, I guess they do need some sort of claim mechanic. But honestly, I'm also kind of keen on the idea that you could just hearth home with them in one way or another, kind of like you can with the Nars. I wouldn't be entirely opposed to that. That's what I imagine, right? Rima, you can swim that? Yeah, I can swim that. No problem. I'm still kind of in the World 2 mindset, where swimming was actually dangerous and fun. We really have gone super lenient on y'all. Goody asks, are there now recipes for meteorite metal? Who knows? Who knows? It's a mystery. Maybe there are, maybe there aren't. Maybe that's for me to know and for you to find out. Fingini says, people use Nars to block stuff too, lol. Yes, they do. And that's bad enough. But we did make some changes to at least make that somewhat harder. So they do drift a little bit right now. Can we see your stats? Yes, here are my stats on this character. This is not my real character, obviously. Not that my real character is much to write home about either, but let's jank up our unarmed combat like 10 points. Bring us to 50. Can we take a fox with 50? I think we can, right? The deck any good? Can we make that better? Probably not, right? Could add one more of those, right? Should probably go grind some ants. Trolix H&H says, God, I hate drifting Nars. You ruined my vault, bro. That was kind of the point. Maglawarmal Wansul asks, can we travel over claims with boats still? I got several rivers around me blocked by claims and it's getting annoying. You can travel over them, but you will leave a trespassing scent, I believe. So, but leaving a trespassing scent isn't that big of a deal, right? Morris Bang asks, can you answer only one question? Wipe, is it near? I have nothing new to add to the wipe question. It will happen when it will happen. When we are ready for it. When we feel like it. I have no announcements on that subject today. Hoylander asks, have you made any progress thought process-wise on addressing the qualms people have with the tedium of farming? That is, if you actually consider an issue yourself. I consider it a bit of an issue. I've kind of harvested my own fields very intermittently, very on-off thing. I do not harvest them back to back every day like I should. So I do certainly consider it a little bit of an issue at least. Oh no, we got a bee sting. That being said, I mean, I think a lot of the tedium is also self-inflicted in that you create these massive farms or fields that you feel you need to have, and in that, you know, you grow every crop, blah 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 blah. So, you know, some of the tedium at least is kind of self-inflicted. That being said, I think one of the things that could make it more fun, presumably at least, is if we added seasons. I think seasonality would you know, add more of a pulse. I think having a pulse in activities is generally a good thing, and I think if we had seasons, we could have. Ooh, we got the. For some reason, some power higher than yourself has compelled you to seek out this tree, and it is to your great amazement that you hear directionless, as if in echo from everywhere and nowhere, it speaks to you in a soft, seductive voice. Perhaps it desires something. Perhaps, yes, he does. He gives me a quest. We must greet Autismilda. Haven't we greeted Autismilda before? And we need to catch a squirrel for the forager's path. Man, now you tell me. And we can go speak with Willowine. That's a pretty cool name. Willowine, he's over there. And Autismilda is over there. I think I know Autismilda, right? Let's see. No, I do not. Let's go see Autismilda. So yeah. Exactly. I think seasonality, adding that to farming could probably make it more interesting, because that way, even if you find it tedious, you would get like a bit of a respite during the fall and winter months of the game. So I think that could be a cool thing. Then, I don't know. No. Lunarius Haberdash says, when can we expect to see low farming stats impacting the quality of seeds planted that are higher quality than your farming? You can see the impact of that already. It's just that it's not nuclear. I'm not entirely up to speed on how we actually. It's been a couple of iterations. We've been over a couple of iterations on how that actually works. I don't have it top of mind exactly how it works, but point being that I don't want to do this. Point being that if you have a low farming score, you will most certainly not see the gain. You won't see gains. You will probably even lose gains to your. I've been replanting seeds several hundred points higher than my farming, and they haven't dropped so much as a point. Oh, that's interesting. make a note to look at that once I've defeated these. I don't really remember exactly what we did with it, but that was my recollection, that was the paradigm that we went for. Okay, your quality does not go down if you plant high quality seeds. Maybe that was how we made it then. Again, I don't really have a 100% top of mind, so I may be misinformed here. It was a long time since we looked at it. Boom. There we go. We got a punch as well. Pretty cool. Makes our deck a little better. Let's look at that. Decrease from low farming when farming. I'm currently running Q340. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Quite simply, then I'll have to have a look at that. I don't really remember even what our reasoning was last time. I don't even remember. I do not even remember what we decided on. Feel free to request songs, by the way, if you have any song requests. I've been looking for freedom. When planning specifically, yeah, maybe that's how we actually made it, so that you, but that doesn't explain why you're not losing points if you're both doing the harvesting, and because it may be that we introduced a distinction where, like, you lose points when planting, but not when harvesting, some shit like that. I think maybe the idea was that, like, any noob should be able to help out with the harvest, sort of. Not exactly sure how we implemented that. We'd have to look that up. Donvelt says, will you ever share the soundtracks from Haven? I can't find most of them anywhere, and I like them so much. Yes, I should probably look at that. Yes, I should like basically post a song list for the soundtrack. I should definitely look at that. In Legacy Haven, it worked as farming skill was a soft cap to C quality. Yeah, and I seem to recall us not liking the old system simply because it was another thing where, like, the noob was always completely useless at everything, and basically if the noob ever touched your seeds, then they would be nuked to hell, you know, in one generation of replanting, and that I seem to recall that striking us as somewhat odd. Another thing that in a similar note strikes me as very odd is that if you feed your chickens shitty food, you know, there's no genetic component to their quality. So I believe, at least, if you feed your chickens shitty food, there's no, hell is a bottomless pit in terms of how low you can nerf their quality by feeding them terrible food and water. And I'm not sure that is really as it should be. That has kind of annoyed me a little bit, that some of my good chickens got their quality blasted, a quality that I spent tedium increasing over time, simply from eating like 2 niblets of suboptimal corn or whatever it is they feed on. Real Bitsa says, I just started playing again and found Q quality 800-ish flax, and it really seems like kind of a game breaker for a noob to have access to that quality of stream. Yeah. On that note, I've considered adding more tedium to the whole fiber industry. Like, I think it would be, you know, not unreasonable if fibers were not useful immediately upon harvesting, but maybe you had maybe you had to dry them first, and maybe you had to kind of spin them to a thread first. Maybe there's all kinds of stuff we can make there. How would you like that? Would you like that? Would you like me to do that? I think that would be reasonable. I think it's a little bit strange that you just yo, shut up, you. Okay, but hear me out. I realize that you don't like that, but there are systems in place for that. Wool requires that very specifically. Like wool, you have to spin the wool and make yarn before you can actually use it as string. And I think something similar for flax or hemp fibers would be. I realize that it would upset a long-standing precedent, but I have to argue that like in principle could seem reasonable. Like basically, I think it's a little bit strange. Anytime you input the farming quality directly into like the principal main vein of the crafting qualities without any like intermediate steps in terms of drying or no opportunity for any other thing to influence the quality, ultimate quality of the end product, it's a bit dangerous. It's a bit like, I mean, string is obviously the component used to push the quality on almost anything that uses string. So not sure how I feel about that. I'm also not sure that like I want to Pinjini, there are still soft cap stats on things crafted with your Q800 fibers. Yes, that is true. Not sure that addresses the point really, but that is true certainly. All right, man, these midges are eating us alive today. Here's another thing, allergic reaction. You should get on, if you have like a bunch of insect bites of various kinds, you should get an allergic reaction. That would be fun. Where are we even? There's where we are. And where's the dork that we got the quest from? Over there. So we should probably go pick up some water in the... Oh, hi there. Oh, hi. Hi, Squid Man. Hello, Cthulhu. Thank you. Thank you. A chiming bluebell. That's awfully kind of you. I'll give you a cherry back. He didn't want my cherry. Or maybe, no, sorry. He dropped it when I moved away. Nolmix says, oh, fuck you with that allergy. I'm not actually sure, like, I mean, I like the wounds. I like having, like this, for example, I like having a mildly interesting wound list. It's like little scout badges, I kind of like seeing an interesting wound list. Don't you? Would you want me to, like, remove all the wounds from the game? Isn't it fun when you get an interesting new wound and have to kind of consider how you're going to treat it? A treatment for midge bites. Sure, could be a thing. Zented69 says, couldn't you just make it so that maybe you only use or craft with items within a certain range of your skill level instead? Maybe a new character can still use Q100 flax, but after a certain point it's just something... Hold on. But that's kind of already how it works, isn't it? Like, you will, like if you have something that is significantly higher than, in terms of quality, than your own stats, then you will hold off on crafting with it, won't you? Yeah, I don't know. Jorb, can you make taming of big snails? It would be awesome to have them as pets and maybe riding on them, like slowest car. Yeah, that could be fun. I even said so earlier during the stream. Bada 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 bum 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 bum. Jorb adds more tedium. Also, Jorb, why are there only 100 players? To be fair, I haven't really asked the question why there are only 100 players online. And also, to be fair, we still kind of peak at least, in the vicinity or slightly above 200. So, I don't think it's entirely fair to say that there are only 100 people online. Also, I don't know, like, I mean, like, we've discussed this before, but, I mean, it's an interesting, like, philosophical question. Like, what's the difference, then, between tedium and gameplay? Like, isn't the entire game just a massive chore? I mean, certainly a lot of people feel that way, or, that's the joke.jpg, but, you know what I'm saying, right? I have a bodyguard. This man deals with the badgers for me. Hushpuppy3 asks, anything going to be done about claiming quests, trees, rocks? Someone claimed a ton of my nearby quest objects. It was actually somewhat intended that you should be able to claim them, because we figured that could, you know, at least presumably, potentially at some point, if the stars are right, foster some conflict over them. Ooh, no, snake! Snake! Scary snake! Thank you, sir. Thank you for dealing with the... Whoa, whoa, whoa! Whoa! Sorry. Didn't mean to do that. Rasvet, hey admin, hello, can you see my messages? Yes, I can. What did you ask? Did you ask anything? Rasvet, did you ask anything? What was your question? No. Ardens T says, for real, send an up-durgency call to your Archan widget when we get a public realm chat message. Please, it would take you 10 seconds. UPD urgency call to your Archan widget. Tell me. I have no idea what that means, but basically you want some external notification whenever you receive a public realm chat message. Is that it? Did I understand that correctly? Because that could be an interesting thing, I guess. External notification on realm. Will consider. Not really sure what our support level for that is presently, but I think we can do that. We've certainly sent various kinds of XMPP messages and whatnot before, so would certainly not exclude that being possible. Right. Thank you, Ardens. I'm with you. It's your multi-chat function that updates the Ardens. I get it. Ahala. Probably know the clan significantly better than I do. Did you just do a Rasputin impression? Like, new updates are available. Fuck you, Windows Update. That the gaze pierced my soul. That's great. Yeah, no, I holler. A notification for realm messages. So basically, you want to be able to kind of hang out in our IRC or whatever, and then auto be able to log on or whatever when your realm gets a message. Is that the idea there? See if we can catch this squirrel. We could. A water skin. Thank you. I don't need a water skin. I have these excellent wooden cups, sir. There's no need for a water skin. Thank you. Yes, it is bad, but you know, I don't want to cheat too much. Wooden cup is fine for me. Rasvet says, can you paint stacks of stones in game? For example, porphyry is red, limestone is white. That is one of the things that hopefully when the client rendering rewrite is actually done, and it may require like 1 or 2 other updates as well, but long story short, if we could make it so that those things are drawn with like instanced rendering, that is to say, if the various variable textures and shit could be instanced, or you know, be uploaded to the graphics card in such a way that they could be applied to instanced geometry, then maybe we could actually add relevant stone colors to the stockpiles. I assume that was the question there. So it's been on our list. It's been a thing that we've talked about, wanted to do, but we're kind of a little bit afraid of the performance implications of just slapping on too many variable materials to precisely everything. So can you Make stone fences be material dependent color-wise? Yes, I certainly can. Again, see the above mentioned explanation of why I have held back on that. It's the same question you could ask with palisades. Also, with fences and palisades, there is also the kind of aesthetic question, like when you build a palisade, do you really want the entire palisade to, let's see, where is, here we go. Report back. Reporting for duty, sir. That was a terrible, terrible reward. Okay, let's just jump home. And so we have our forager quest is to get a candleberry and bring that to Sarulinde. Some of these names are pretty cool. Yeah, again, with the palisades and shit, it's also the aesthetic question, like because usually, you know, you just build a palisade out of whatever materials you have lying around, like whatever pieces of wood you have lying around, whatever trees you have lying around. And we just straight up implemented that. I think there was a pretty good case to be made that the palisades would look like shit. And I don't want that. I don't think, at least, so... You know, at least without special attention being paid to it, they would look like shit. Because you would just build them out of, you know, 2 blocks of tree A, 3 blocks from tree B, etc., etc. So it would kind of look like a mishmash, and I'm not sure that would look good. Blah blah blah, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Hence, holding back a little bit on that as well. Do. Sans skeleton. Let's see. Hoylander asks, would you like to make round curved walls a thing sometime in the future? Yeah, if you ask me in the theoretical, then it's easy to say yes. I think in practice that would require a pretty good definition of what a wall is. I'm not saying it's impossible, because it's certainly not, but I haven't really thought that much about it, truth be told. I mean, obviously roundness is, you know, just a matter of how many corners you want to have. It's a matter of resolution, I suppose. So, I mean, you can kind of build roundish structures right now as it is, but I mean, obviously it looks like it won't look particularly good, but I don't know. Long story short, I wouldn't be entirely apodictically opposed to round or curved features, but I'm also not exactly sure on what that would really imply. Hello there, Turtle Hermit here. Would you think making a threads on forum about further programming or advices or something would work out? Please keep up the good work on the game. Sure, if you have a concrete question, I wouldn't just start a thread with no clear topic in mind, but if you have a good topic in mind, then I don't see why you shouldn't start a new thread about it, or use the old one if you feel that's appropriate. I welcome discussion about general topics on the forum. WattX says, do you have plans for a Steam version of H&H? We don't have plans for it. It's something that we've discussed, and I'll give you the same answer I usually give, namely that we don't really need Steam, because we need to have our own distribution platforms anyway, on account of, like, as a function of what Haven and Hearth is, that is to say an MMO. So distribution is something that we need to handle ourselves, because we need to run servers and stuff. So we don't really, strictly speaking, don't need Steam for our distribution purposes. That being said, Steam, so which reduces Steam, you know, for us to. Oh, thank you for bringing me a bear, sir. It's a dead bear, right? Oh, hey, someone wrote "need hugger" here in these old logs. So we don't really per se need Steam, but Steam would then, for us, be almost exclusively a marketing venue or whatever. And you know, if we're going to implement, you know, full-on Steam support, and you know, we did similar things for Salem, so we have some old, you know, systems that, you know, could be it wouldn't be the first time we approached that question of, you know, having various kind of game platform external support things, but you know, given that the only thing we're kind of getting from it, and I'm not saying that's a small or minor thing or whatever, is the whole marketing venue thing for Steam. I'm not sure how important that actually is. I realize that Steam is where all the kids, you know, get their fix these days, but I also, for personal reasons, I'm not too fond of Steam. I'm not a big fan of Steam. Not because it isn't comfortable or whatever, but rather perhaps precisely because it is damn comfortable. And I don't want to get ideological about like computer culture or shit, but I'm not a huge fan of Steam. Whatever, give me a break. I'm just answering the question. I think it's kind of bloatware. I don't like how it kind of centralizes control of the installation of programs. I think it's obviously spyware. Like it clearly sends information on your playing habits to various capitalist entities, etc. And I'm not sure how thrilled I am about that. So given all of that, you know, I'll put it this way: we're not like entirely or ideologically opposed to ever doing a Steam version. That's not where we're at, but we're also not like in a hurry to do a Steam version. And I figure that as long as we kind of, you know, as long as we're, you know, in the vicinity of our very, admittedly very loose financial targets, I don't see us implementing Steam. Because why, right? Like, so, long answer, what I just said. Short answer, no, not really. Again, I wouldn't be particularly opposed to it, but also there's a case to be made. Like, you know, you get one Steam launch. Like, you get to launch the game on Steam once. So are we prepared for it? Like, you know, because it could potentially imply a huge influx of new players. Are we ready to handle that? Are our servers up to snuff? Or, you know, and, you know, on balance, when considering all of those issues, Steam just doesn't look particularly appetizing to me, truth be told. So and it's also obviously the whole, you know, Valve gets like what 30% of our income from whatever like we sell on Steam, and you know, you'd have to look at the legal implications of having the game on Steam in terms of you know, what does it imply for our, you know, what kind of support do we need to provide, what level, there are legal implications to it, which, you know, I'm not saying that's a big deal or whatever, but I also wouldn't like take it, you know, super lightly either. So, and you know, they get a 30% or whatever it is cut of whatever we sell there. So, and you know, how would that work with, you know, stuff that we sell through our own platforms relative stuff that people buy through the Steam store, blah 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 blah. There's a lot there to think about with the old noggin. You gotta be smart about them things. Can't just run off and implement Steam like. Yeah, Hush Puppy 3 says, I would imagine the masses on Steam would give this game mostly bad reviews. Is that true? Do you all agree with that assessment? I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's actually true. I think, you know, arguably the game is better than a lot of games that I've seen on Steam, but I don't know. I don't want to get into too much of a comparison with other games either. That's not really nice or whatever. I don't want to rack down on other game developers. Well, yes, we shall go bring Candleberry to Saddle-Linde. It shall be our glorious task. So maybe we would get trashy, shitty reviews. That might be like, but then again, like, our game is in permanent alpha. Like, we've been in alpha for years, so I don't know. I don't know what the case would be there. Can you remove my beard? Asks the little poltergeist that's following me around. The answer is yes, I can remove your beard, but why would I? Zentit69 says, indie games on Kickstarter get a lot of attention and can get a lot of money. It might be better than Steam. On Kickstarter, right? So we should kickstart the game. Feels kind of strange after, you know, it's been live for almost 10 years. We're doing a Kickstarter now. For what purpose? The game is already started. But, I don't know, I hear you. I'm not apodictically opposed to doing a Kickstarter either. Yeah, I mean, generally we should be doing more things like that. I think I've actually honestly promised merch would be fun to do, and I think I promised it at times, so like mugs and t-shirts and shit would be fun. Kill the sneak, please. Thank you. Pick that up. No big deal, I'll just take that up. So where do I need to go? Around the whole thing, probably. Have I been to Sodelinde before? Oh, we swam across here the other time. Alright, let's do another route. Dakan says, let me give you money to reselect my character's facial hair stuff. Take my money! We'll consider. Patreon is more than Kickstarter, suggests Rima. Better to have a constant stream of income. Yeah, sure, maybe. Maybe we should set up a Patreon. I'm just not sure, like, how do all things, like, in terms of optics, how do all of those things, like, work together? Isn't it a bit strange that we have a Patreon where we basically ask for donations while at the same time we try to run the game as, you know, a company or whatever, or as a, you know, a financial venture, call it what you will, as a business basically? Isn't that a bit strange? Shouldn't it be either or? But are we living so much in the late stages of capitalism that, you know, those distinctions do not matter anymore? We're all trademarks now, bro. Patreon with an additional game sub is a little weird. Yeah, that's my point, right? It is a little weird. You know, maybe then, but like maybe the Patreon thing could, like, if you were the Patreon, or I don't really know how Patreon, where you pay a monthly, you know, or, you know, basically you pay every time, oh, whatever. You pay per update or whatever, right? That's how that works, right? Oh, hi there again. I'm stacking petrified seashells. 1, 2 stuffed mammoth elephants out of mammoth hides and wool. Like we have teddy bears and stuff, but please, we'll consider. I've actually been meaning to make a stockpile for petrified seashells, so I'll make a note of that. Stockpile petrified seashells. Stockpiles for everything, and should we have a mammoth hide curio? Should we have it? Would it be curious enough? I think it could be quite curious. Feels like I was in the middle of a thought, but I lost it, so it must have been important. Yeah, the whole Patreon thing, yeah. With the monthly sub is a little bit weird. Zentit69 says, make it so the more a player pays, the bigger his text in the forum gets, and the larger his in-game character's penis becomes. You will be rich. True. This is not a bad idea. I support this idea, actually. The PHPB, which is the forum software that we're presently using, is not really up to snuff too much in terms of like extensive integration with the game server. I don't think Loftar appreciates having to hack PHPB too much. So if we want to do too much forum integration, we probably end up at the point where we had to write a whole new forum software ourselves, which would not, I don't really know if that's something I want to spend too much time on. Have you even, says Kenshi Roakube, considered to make chicken feathers, leaves, fibers, strings to be able to hold the groups in inventory like 20 feathers in one item slot? Yes, certainly considered it. Stacking, basically. Okay, XD, I'm getting kind of tired of you. Bruh, you need to scram now. Scram or I put the fucking horse in the water. Hey, bye-bye. Well, I mean, thank you for everything, but bye-bye, 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 bye-bye. What are we doing here? We're bringing a candleberry, that's right. Whoop. Giddy on up. Zit. I took his horse. I took his horse. I took his horse. Right, I'm gonna leave the horse here. The horse is here. You can have your horse back, sir. No more horsing around. Why are you sad face, Flyrella? Jordan Coley says, Patreon would be good, but you have to offer special shit like private streams. Wow, we got a quest here, bros and girls. Raid an antil, bring a clover to some wamne. Well, we're gonna go to the Lion King. We're gonna go see the Lion King and dump this clover on the Lion King. Talkmix says, are cave dungeons rarer than beaver dams, considering there's much less open cave areas? I don't remember exactly what we set the spawn values to, but in principle, I also, now that you mention it, not exactly sure on how we actually set that up. Jordan Colsey, but I think bad dungeons are somewhat more rare, yes, but not by like, they're hard to compare because you know, it differs in terms of like how often areas are low. Oh, look, a dryad. That's pretty sweet. This was a huge lake here. A dryad. We found a dryad here. Cozy's, so yeah, I don't know that one is more or less rare than the other, and it also depends like how what do you mean by rare, like how often new ones spawn or whatever, because because it obviously depends on there are only a fixed number of dungeons on the map active at any given time, so it depends on how often, you know, already spawned dungeons are cleared out, etc., etc. So, where am I even going? We're going to Zamwene. Zamwene. I went the wrong way. What did I start answering? Yeah, Patreon would be good, but you have to offer special shit like private streams with monthly updates. Private streams? Kidding. I assume that's not the kind you meant, right? I can't be arsed to carry this boat across. endless tracts of land just to get to the Lion King. Thank you. It's nice of you, XD, to carry the boat for me. Hard as TV says he saw a butterfly in your That's true, actually. I saw a butterfly and got fucking distracted. Man, I'm so tired. It has been a long week, and it has been a long weekend, and I am so tired. I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm fumbling more than usual, as per usual. But yeah, I have some. Yeah, I don't really want to talk about it. This is the thing, you know. I come up with a cool idea, and then I don't want to talk about it because it kind of spoils the surprise of implementing it in a patch. I have some cool ideas for more. I will put it like this: I have some cool ideas for more dungeon creatures that I want to, or rather, more underground cave creatures that I want to add to the game. I think, you know, the militarization of the underworld is a thing that I've been talking about on and off, and I think that's a fun project. And I think adding vicious creatures to the cave worlds is fun and meaningful in terms of adding new content, and also kind of fun to make new strange creatures for the underworld. For future world purposes, I think we could do more than 5 cave levels. I think we could, can, and should do more than 5 cave levels. I think there should be more than 5 cave levels. I think 5 is not enough. Ardas TV says, what is your plan to address the autism-fueled system that is Credos and their quest requirements? What was your favorite idea for how to fix it from the forums, and why was it mine? I have to say that I feel that the question is somewhat loaded, smidge loaded, but I don't know. Really not entirely 100% sure on how to feel about that. I don't like the suicide. I think, didn't we talk about this last stream? I'm not super thrilled about the suicide thing, especially. I especially don't like the Boolean outcome of you suiciding not once, but 10 times to really nerf down the quest count to 0 again. I think that's really retarded. So I don't like that at all. But I'm also not 100% against there being some incentives for dying, some reason to die. I'm not 100% against that. So I think Credos, arguably add a little bit there, or potentially. Zented69 says, so what should we do about Credos? I don't really know. I think, there was kind of the thought behind them was that it would be end game content or whatever, stuff that, to the point where it would be hard to have all of the Credos on one specific character. Alright, bro, give me some water then. Bandy me some water, sir. Thank you, bruh. Thank you, bruh, for giving me some water, giving me a drink of water. Let's go, bro. Let's go. Dakan says, you should add more cave levels this world because that would make me happy, and that is good. That's actually not completely impossible, so. Jordan Colsey says, Kickstarter and merch would be the best for you guys, in my opinion. Make a short video saying what the game is, as well as the intro video. Say that you're working on a new world, but could use support in real life to keep deving. Your tears, your tears, your tears. Coleytrax asks, are there plans for another Loft Hour stream? Yes, I actually asked him if he wanted to be on this stream, but then I forgot to carry that decision through. So I'm going to try to ask him again for next month. Not promising anything, but I shall ask him. Deliver. Da-da-da-da. And we got a quest. Light a fire. We can do that, right? Boys, we can do that. We can light a fire. Light a fire. We're gonna light a fire. Shadowhawk31 says, you should have more support for community-based events. For example, make more games and make shoe balls smoother if possible. Yeah, I would love that. Feel free to request stuff. Make more games. Yeah, what kind of games would you like to see? What would be fun? I'm too tired to drill. I'm too tired to drill a fire right now. I'm gonna drill a fire. Fingini says, doing normal quests to reduce Credo quests down to the minimum was a cool idea. So you could get a quest reward to reduce the number of quests you're presently running, I suppose. I don't know, that could be fun, but like, doesn't that just incentivize you to just run normal quests all day, every day? Boom. We got there. Report back. Still just relieving my stomach. It's just nonsense. I almost, not much to relieve, you know? What else were we asked to do? Raid an anthill, study a dandelion. I think we're doing that, right? Yeah. Yep. Zented69 says, it shows you're in real life dog if you have. I do not have a dog. I'm not a huge dog person. Not that I have much against dogs, but I have a little bit against people who own dogs. It's not, that is a truth with modification, because, you know, my sister has a dog, for example, but so it's not like, I'm kind of being halfway serious here, but I think a lot of people who have dogs, like, just don't really, you know, I have no problem with dogs. I'm not afraid of dogs. I'm also not like super enthusiastic about them in the sense that, like, I don't really care about them. They leave me cold usually, or, you know, a little bit at least. I'm not like entirely cold-hearted either, but people, what I want to say is that I often find that people who have dogs do not take fucking proper care of them. They do not, like, teach them the proper discipline. They do not, like, you know, pick up after them. They do not, like, yeah. They allow their dogs, you know, recklessly to march up to strangers and, you know, start slobbering all over them and stuff like that. And that I really don't like. Like, if I had a dog, you know, it would be under a strict Prussian regimen. I will tell you that much. I think if people have animals, they should, you know, take the damn responsibility for them and make sure that, you know, by God, and that is my opinion. Nolmik says, any progress on Wolfpack's implementation? Not really. We have begun discussing, and it's come up a couple of times, the whole pack logic for animals came up when we implemented the cave lice, for example. So, gain 4 points of perception. Game, really? Wow, that is harsh. That is a lot to ask. Did I miss any good questions here while I was talking smack about dogs? Yeah, more K-levels. That would be fun. Okay, here's an effort post. Kenshurak says, if you want to currently balance credos, no suicide, you either have to limit usage of C&M to make it longer, more boring, or make magic that shortens experience events timer to make it funnier, faster. Example, I could do 100 plus quests of pottery from 88 days to 6 only, while I was very unlucky to do Mystic for 2 to 3 months without a way to make it faster. Yeah, I suppose. I'm not sure what the key takeaway was there. Maybe I should just abandon that quest. It was just asking too much of me. 4 points of perception, jeez. How do I even gain perception? What are even the foods that gain me perception? Like some fishes and stuff. Let's go do some fishing. We even have the fishing rod with us, so. Can we, yep, let's go do some fishing. Should we go here or here? We'll go over here. Riyama says, something that I've been mulling about. What about traps? Short-lived, quickly decaying mechanical hazards, great for dealing with players and to a lesser extent with small animals. Also do not distinguish between friend and foe. I think if there were like PvP traps, I think there are too many retarded incentives. Like, because let's say we implement a spike trap or whatever, that by which you can like fall into a bottomless pit of spikes. There, to my mind, like, you know, in a siege paradigm where you can actually break and enter into someone's palisaded area, it seems to me that if we implement a trap like that, there, you know, arises a fairly retarded incentive to build the traps precisely everywhere, like every walkable tile that you have in the entire base. And that seems a little bit retarded. We had something very similar in Salem, where we had a system where you could effectively build little watchtowers to watch over your claim. And the idea was that we wanted to move away from the paradigm of the hull to your settlement is broken, and once that happens, everything. We wanted to get to a paradigm of defense in depth, basically, where the claim could defend itself in depth, even when the walls are broken. So we wanted to move away from, you know, single point of failure defense, basically. But the retarded incentive that kind of immediately presented itself was to basically the incentive to spam braziers, as it were, or, you know, these watchtowers precisely everywhere. So every tile on a base would be occupied by, you know, silly watch guard tower things, and that just is unaesthetic and ugly, and also pretty, you know, speaking of tedium, it was pretty boring to, you know, maintain your base when you have to spam build silly braziers on every gosh darn tile known to man and in existence. So while our little dork is doing some fishing here, let's take a look at this photo, this majestic photo of Hindenburg, General Feldmarschall. Pretty cool, right? Paul von Hindenburg is the field marshal of the German forces in World War I, the victor at the Battle of Tannenberg, later president of the Weimar Republic. Pretty cool guy. But that was not what I was going for. I was rather going for this. Let us move these away so I can actually see them. Let us. This is one of the files that I have in the very relevant and modern PaintShop Pro. It's an old Jask product. And in it I have layers representing various things. For example, credos. So I don't know if I've ever showed this. I don't think so. There are a couple that aren't implemented. That one is not implemented, and that one is not implemented. So, but this is basically a file where that one's not implemented either, I don't think. Quickly decaying, says Rima, regarding his traps. Yeah, maybe. So what I was thinking was, how's the fishing? Stop fishing already? What happened? What happened? What could possibly have gone wrong? What did leech, bone hook, what? You lost your bait, and then we stopped fishing. I've noticed this before, like some of the error messages failed to resume fishing. You lost your bait, stop fishing. Not as it should be. You lost your bait. Fishing. Seized. What's up with that? Try to fix that. So that was not what I wanted to look at. But we also have files here or layers here rather, for food, or wounds rather, and realm blessings, and experiences, and blah blah blah. So what I was thinking was that we could doodle away at a picture for allergic reaction. Let's Google allergic reaction. Ugh, man. You get what you Google for, right? Ugh. Yuck. That poor guy. That's me. That's me right there. No. Yeah. Let's see where we go with that. Okay, so basically what we want to do here is paint it all black. Really hate you. Sorry, maybe there should be advanced warning. Please no allergy. Let's see how the fishing is coming along. Are we fit? Ooh, sorry. Whoa, 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 slow down. We need to dump our fishes. Lunarius Haberdash says, can we get a quality-based inventory for the fisherman's hat that auto-loads? Hey bud, says XD. Hello XD. What's up, brah? What's up, brah? What do you want? What do you want? Should I make some little storage for fishes? Sure, brah. Feel free to. Get a quality-based inventory for the fisherman's hat that auto-loads bait, lure, lines, hooks onto your pole. Arguably, bait and stuff should auto-load onto your pole. I'm just not 100% sure. So what? Yeah, let's try to do a take on the tongue there. Kind of like that picture of someone just having a kind of swollen tongue thing. Watch me fail at art class here. We're just doodling here. Gluten allergies, yeah. Isn't that a bit of a modern thing? Did people actually, that is another thing, like, did people actually have, like, gluten allergies and shit back in the good old days? Isn't that just a modern phenomenon caused by general decrepitude and weakness of life in late-stage capitalism? Isn't that? He's a muscular dude here. Do. Cancer, lactose intolerant. Now we're talking lactose intolerant. Love that. Here we go. We lost our bait again, and it was, again, did not auto-resume. Mescaline says, when is the new world? Please, any ideas? Sorry, no ideas, really. Why is Colby in for allergic to tooth? Yeah, sure. Complaints. Q. I mean, honestly though, like allergic reaction, you have to give me that is a pretty baller's cool idea, right? It's a pretty good idea, right? I mean, finally something we can all agree on. That has a pretty long tongue. Do. Hush Puppy 3 says, I love your art style. I don't know, it's not much of a style, it's just me fumbling around. Like, I have, you know, it's like the Latin quote says, ars vi, what is it? Art is long, life is short, art is long. Vita brevis ars longa. I would really love to just practice anatomy purposefully and, you know, take classes and shit, but just don't have the time. Self-taught for whatever it's worth. How is the fishing going? Oops. We found a clay jar. Okay, says Real Bits Up. Serious question here. There's been a bit of a discussion recently about character aging and maybe death by natural causes. Do you have any thoughts on that? Yeah, pretty much my thought is that I'm not sure that would be much fun. It's my immediate thought on the build me a container, bro. Build me a container, bro. Thank you. It's all the yank that we caught, we can stash there. I don't know, what would natural aging imply? What would happen as you aged? Linarius Haberdash says, you're delusional if you think most people are on board with allergic reactions. Again, I have to return to the kind of basic point that I was trying to make. Isn't it fun when you know have challenges in game and blah blah, and then you're like, oh, it's not a challenge, it's tedium. But isn't that true of anything? Like, where do you yourselves, when you're complaining about a wound like that, where do you end up on the kind of principle argument that I'm trying to make here? Like, certainly you see my point, right? That I'm trying to make, that, like, you know, any challenge could be accused of being tedium. Anything in the game could be accused of being a chore. That's the joke.jpg. Like, where do you end up on that? Don't you like wounds at all? Like, should I remove all wounds? Should you never take damage? Should you never be wounded? Should there not be treatments? Isn't the game more fun with treatments and wounds than without? Isn't that like a part of the challenge, blah, blah, blah? Surely you must see that there is at least an interesting discussion to be had there. At least, right? Right. Oops, that was a bit too bright for my tastes. Ein Jäger aus Kurpfalz, der reitet durch die grüne Wald. Ja, ja, ja. Gar lustig ist die Jäger. Speed drawing under pressure is not my... What does that even look like? Crap, that's what it looks like. It looks like crap. Oops. Pickelhaube hat when, says Tokmix. We actually, there was a Pickelhaube hat for the first round of golden sub hats. The first golden sub, like 1 year golden sub hat, was a Pickelhaube. So we have done both Pickelhaube and Stahlhelm. So German militaria is extensively represented in the hat department. Alright, we're making good catches here. Where'd all my... Right. But we're stockpiling the fish, bro. We're stockpiling these. Foolma74 says, can we dual mount a horse? Not presently, no, but maybe we can make it so that you can dual mount. Wow, we got a Q428.5 metal arrow. That's pretty good metal arrow there. No, we can't dual mount a horse presently, but that's not to say that we couldn't make it so you can dual mount a horse, which is certainly not something that I would like to exclude entirely, the possibility. This is me. This is literally me. I hear a train a-comin', it's rolling round the bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. Ushanka Subhat when also jousting minigame. Yeah, jousting could be fun. It's a little bit later maybe than the period, but it could be fun. I'm not entirely sure how that would actually work. Like having, you know, physicality in the movement would be fun, but it's not something that we have any good support for presently. So I'm also not sure how much of a thing we want to make mounted combat, though I guess that's not, you know, a strict implication that mounted combat needs to be much of a thing just because we add jousting. So depends on what you mean there, I guess. Have some work to do on that one still. You're just the millennial "it's me" thing. What's the "it's me" thing? I've missed that meme. Wow, we got everything stolen from us. We got everything stolen from us. Did you build a nice little card here too, bro? That's really awfully kind of you. Thank you, XD. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow. Wow, wow, an Erlite. I want it. I want it. I want it. I'm having it. I lost it. Frack me. Let's see, let's see, let's see. We're bringing a load of nonsense back with us. Let's just load this shit up. Thanks for making all of this crap, bro. Really awfully kind of you. Awfully kind of you. All kinds of nonsense. Boom. Mescaline says, can you add some super rare creatures? We did, right? Do you have any perception increasing meats, sir? What do these give? Rima says, here's a fun question, a suggestion. Killing a magpie often drops a 1-unit object, like a place, a curio, etc. Maybe mix it in with the fishing junk list. There is already a list of items that magpies have stolen, and they can drop those. So I'd say that we've already implemented what you asked for there. Blah, 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 blah. Yes, thank you. That was what I was going to ask you for. Go get some deers. That would be nice. Deer gives perception, I know that much. Beady, 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 beady. So yeah, we track a global list of all items stolen by magpies, and magpies can drop those. So, or drop items from that list, rather. There you go. Let's roll this on back. There's another thing, like speaking of dual mounting horses, I think riding on carts could be fun. I suggested that to Loftar once, but he seemed less than thrilled. Had some bullshit complaint about, you know, everything being usable for everything and how he was against that, and, you know, thought that things for some obscure, retarded reason should have, you know, dedicated purposes. So, I don't even know what to do with that, man. Hearth with it, shaking my head. Oh, right, you can hearth with it these days? I've had completely forgotten. That is true, you can hearth with it. That is awesome. Thank you, developers, for asking that, implementing that. Lunarius, how can you be against this? How can you be against glorious hearthing with glorious card? Wasn't that much more fun for everyone? Beady, beady, beady. Beady, beady, beady. Berta, berta, berta. Berta, berta, berta. Berta, 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 berta. Hello, XD. There's no deer. You didn't look hard enough, bro. You didn't look hard enough, bro. Shaking my head. Oh yeah, shaking my head should be a, sample. We're doing that. Locality, schmocality. Richard says there should be a dirt dungeon with giant mud monsters and all the global dirt loot. Yeah, with the poo demon from Dogma. I don't remember what it was called. The movie Dogma with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, right? What was it called? There was a poo demon there. I don't recall what it was called. It was a pretty blasphemous movie. But as I recall it, pretty fun, though I had probably not seen it in like 15 years or however old it is. So I suspect that my tastes are perhaps somewhat more refined now than they were when I watched that movie. Lunarius Haberdash asks, Golgathon, that is right. It was called that, right? The Golgathon. Yeah, that is what it was called. That rings a bell. The Golgothan, yeah, exactly. The Golgothan, that is what it was called. The Golgothan. That is correct. Thank you, chat, for helping me out with that. Zorna Cruz Sorcini asks, finally I reached the stream. Hey there, the beginner's dungeon. Can it be a moth one? Yeah, I wouldn't be against that. I'm looking at ants, primarily. I told you about that last time, right? I have a vision for how it's going to work out. It's going to be just like in the new Zelda game, but I never get this straight. I talk about it every stream, and I never get it straight. But Call to the Wild, Call of the Wild, Wild Call, something, something. When you find a temple there, it rises up from the ground in a cool fashion, and I think if we did ant dungeons for Haven, it would be cool if like you go to raid an anthill and suddenly the whole hill rises up in a cool fashion with sand trickling off of it. That would be pretty cool, right? So that is what we're gonna do. Yep. Breath of the Wild, that is right. Yes, more hydralisk sounds, definitely. It's the only way to do them. Heir of the Uncivilized. Yeah, that would be a good name. Okay. Yeah, this is the definition of fumbling. This is what Granger loves the most. Grove of the Silk Queen. Yeah, that would be cool. Like, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't mind a moth dungeon. I wouldn't mind, insect dungeons in general. And more like beginner type dungeons would be fun too. Like ants, I think, are a perfect candidate for that. Zented69 says, what about a rare creature that spawns when you fish, like an overworld angler that you can pull out of the water with your rod? Yeah. I'm not, entirely opposed to that. Like, we try to keep the overworld perhaps a little bit more real or realistic, but that's not to say that there aren't like dryads and shit, and it's not a hard and fast rule either. So I'm not, could consider giant moth wings from the boss you can wear in the camp slot. That would be cool, says Jordan Colsey. I agree, Jordan Colsey. Fingini says, in the ant dungeon, would the mechanic be having to make sure your SCVs don't get seared rushed? No, I don't think so, no. Marlin, yeah. Yeah, that would actually be kind of cool. That, a giant, what are they called? Catfish, right? In Swedish you would call it mal. And it's the same word as in malström, which I believe you have as a loan word from the Norwegian and English as well, maelstrom. And male or mal is actually, I believe the translation is catfish, like a huge fish with whiskers and stuff. That has to be a catfish, right? Could do that, like a major cat, like huge. It's gonna be a beautiful wall. We're gonna build a wall. So Mexico is gonna pay for the wall. It's gonna be. What happened to that, Trump? How's that coming along? Has Mexico paid for the wall yet? Has Mexico paid for the effing wall yet? I don't think so. I do not believe that you've sent a check to Mexico for your wall. Huge. Yes. Drunken Jacob says, how about something like, Arvani says, Texans are paying for the wall. Yeah, that's true. They're probably having all their land close to the border seized with eminent domain and shit. For Trump's wall. How about something like Krakens would be amazing, right? Says Drunken Jacob. Yeah, Krakens, absolutely. Giant octopus. Cthulhu thing. I think I want to do whales and narwhals. So those are things that I want to do. And those are giant sea monsters, arguably. So. Any new credos planned? Asks Snoopy9106. Yeah, definitely, a bunch of them. Ratcatcher was one that I perceived as being a popular suggestion. Been meaning to make that. Yeah, we're definitely, Richard, doing a whale dungeon inside a whale. Already thought of that. Way ahead of you. We're doing that. That's going to happen. So it's, what is it, the second temple in Ocarina of Time. So we're doing that. Zorna Cruz Sorcini asks, don't want to bother, but can you add more information when inspecting an object, like tree type, rock type, etc.? Yes and no. We've gone back and forth on this. Part of us, we kind of want to do that, but there's also the kind of the decision to make what information should actually be presented then, and it also puts an additional burden on us in terms of having a readable, presentable name for everything. Also, another thing, like, I don't know how much of a point this is, but one of the things that we kind of, I don't know, prided ourselves on, whatever, early on, was that we hadn't actually provided names for many of the in-game features or in-game things that were in, that you could find in nature. So, players got to name them, or there was conventions in terms of how players referred to them, and we kind of found that a little bit interesting, at least, that players could kind of be part of the naming culture for shit. So I'm not sure we want to provide readable names for everything, is the point I'm saying. In light of all these posts about dying for credos, instead of having the objective be to commit suicide, just make the objective die a glorious death. Yeah, that could be kind of cool. Could be cool. A reward for it. Yeah, not entirely opposed to that. But that again, that also forces you to die. I'm not sure we want that either. Like, shouldn't it be a choice? I don't know. Gluten allergy. All your quests just turn into tell X person that you have gluten allergy. That's, I think more gluten allergy definitely could make the game more interesting. Faux show. wounds on everything, to be honest. TBQH, fam. To be quite honest, fam. I gotta get a ring on. Yeah, that's one of the objectives we talked about last time. I gotta get can you do a B string? A B string. Beast ring. You can do this. You need to find fine bone. We need 3 units of fine bone. Can you let us plant boletes? They're trash curios now. No, I cannot. I don't want to make anything more plantable. Nolmix says random autumn depression. Dude, tell me about it. I had it coming on hard just earlier today, actually. I was like, it's getting so dark here in Sweden. It's getting so dark, and days are short and long at the same time. It's just getting cold and rainy, and I swim a lot, or go for a lot of swims in lakes and the ocean. I live relatively close to the ocean, or very close to the ocean even. So I swim a lot, and I don't actually swim around much, but I jump into the water. And And so I do that a lot. And I went last weekend. It was kind of cold. It was like late September. Did not go this weekend, so maybe coming up on the end of the season there, which always fills me with a bit of melancholy. So no, I don't want to let you plant boletes. I don't want to do anything more to hurt foraging, rather. And if they're maybe they are trash curios, but I don't think that's an argument for nerfing foraging further. If anything, I'd like to boost foraging. So if you have good ideas for stuff that could give foraging a little bit of a boost, then feel free to let me know. Maybe some more rare drops when foraging. Could be fun. Could be fun, yo. Wow, there are actually 84 nerds watching, which is pretty good. I think that's, I don't know what I usually have, but 84 nerds watching is pretty good right now. I have some lag fields right here. I think there are a lot. Wow, this is an abandoned settlement of some stature. Have we just missed this? Charterstone is not in a village. Wow. How can we not have gone here before? Sparrow's Gourd. It's a pretty fun name. Wow, this is what I love about Lake Game Haven. You can just walk around and just find these amazing sites that are forageable tree layer mushrooms? Tree layer mushrooms. Sure what you mean there. Oh, we found a harmonica. It's pretty cool. I need to, alright, I probably need both hands, right? Harmonica, boom. Improved instruments would be nice, says Jordan Coles. How would you like to have them improved? Are they not perfection? Autistic screeching applause. This is awesome. I love ruin diving. This is not awesome. Tell me this is not awesome. Just finding all kinds of crap in here. Cackle, take some cackle. Digs through cupboards full of, thrown away stuff. Picks the worst curio, brings it with him. That's Jorb, all right. Am I right? That's Jorb for you. That is the Jorb. Jorb's gonna Jorb. Full scale would be nice in some way, to play multiple notes at once. 4 scale, yeah, that's pretty. That's pretty true. Oops, didn't mean to go out. Boots. You found boots, leather boots, brah, with a quilted waddling. But I don't want to switch out my glorious. These boots are pretty nice though. But bunny slippers are also awesome. So I kind of want to have bunny slippers rather. Semi-easy crab dungeon would be cool. Yeah, crab dungeon could be cool actually. A bed. I'm bringing this home with me. Alright, that is kind of fitting. We're coming up on the 2-hour mark here, boys and girls. 8 minutes left. I actually noticed that my system clock seems to be slightly off by like 3 minutes or something like that. But yeah, this was fun. Again, time kind of flies when I'm doing this. It always seems that, like, you imagine that 2 hours is a long time, but seem to burn through the minutes, hours pretty fast. Some questions here. Semi-easy crab dungeons. Lamb, stock, or scales curio will get any balance, so those could get mildly usable. Are you saying they should be better than they are? Is that your argument there? Jordan Cozy says, the new lice and caves are underwhelming, still not worth killing. Could we use the shell as a shield for love? Yeah, I have some ideas for stuff that I want to add to them, so hopefully they'll get more interesting. That being said, I'm not sure, like, the idea is either that, you know, all creatures should always be 100% super interesting at all times, so I'm, you know, not sure how much I mind if there are creatures that are not, like, super interesting for hunting purposes. Add leprechauns, says Shadowhawk31. Kenshirok, so not entirely better, but mental cost greatly reduced, and that's all. Yeah, okay, I could consider. Stiffnit says, did you give mead brewing a thought? Yeah, I don't like how fluids and drinks work generally, so if I like them more generally, I wouldn't be opposed to adding mead brewing. So we should definitely have mead brewing at some point. Little John 531 says, we have a bunch of new danger in mines, new ores to mine when? What ores would you like to see? What metals would you like to make? There are definitely more alloys that I think we could add. Brass, whatever all the alloys are called. Electrum is gold and silver, right? So more alloys I could definitely see. Rayma says you could add a bunch of short duration cures to foraging. Now that I think about it, like Kunkai type duration stuff you can stuff into your learning table. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Add psilocybin. Yeah, actually I thought about that the other day. Yeah, definitely trip shrooms could be fun. Could give us the opportunity to make another drug overlay effect. The Ornstein says, please improve digging, add ability to change depth with keys instead of mouse. Change dig depth with keys. We'll consider that. Princess Mandy is here to give me a gift. So much liver and onions. What am I gonna do? That's when you know someone loves you when they give you liver and onions. What am I supposed to do with all these liver and onions? You can have my bushcraft fishing pole. Thank you. Or that's right. When I ban the emu away, that means they drop everything. Mine zinc. Yeah, I looked into that at some point. Zinc is like fairly modern, isn't it? Like in terms, I know. What was it I read? It's like a lot of the old copper objects that were made in ancient times usually had like a small zinc content, I believe. So zinc was kind of used even though it wasn't technically discovered per se, like because they didn't really, I suppose, understand that zinc was a metal in and of itself, in its own right. Blah blah blah. So yeah, mithril will probably happen at some point. We'll have to do mithril at some point. Drunken Jacob says, Poland just won world championship in volleyball. That is awesome. Congratulations, Poland. Volleyball, we'll consider that. Lunarius Haberdash says, could we have an option to move a claim stake within a claim rather than having to rebuild it? Yes, I've made a note of that. There's a note of that somewhere in my extensive note document. Kids, I'm going to have to call it a night here. This was a lot of fun. We had a lot of questions come in here late in the game. Yeah, have I seen Little John 531's post about new ores? I don't remember. I saw some post about new ores, I think, but I don't remember. Rima says, thanks for streaming, Bruderborn, and thank you for being here and asking questions and helping out. And, you know, really appreciate it. It was... yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'll catch you all again in October. Hopefully we'll have Lofter on then. I'm going to try to make a concerted effort to make that happen. Yeah, until then, thank you all for everything, and yeah, I'll catch you all in October. Thank you for everything. Thank you for playing the game. Thank you for caring. Again, we peaked at like 84 or something nerds, and I think that's pretty good considering where we are, where the game is, blah 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 blah. So I hope you all have a great, productive new week, Monday, tomorrow, and yeah, I'll see you. I'm always on the forums, try to respond to PMs in a timely fashion. So I hope you have a good week and a good month until, you know, we should try to get in 4 more updates or whatever until we do the next stream. And hopefully we can have the L dog on then as well. So good fight, good night. Take care, all of you, and God bless, and you know, thank you for being awesome, I guess. Bye, kids.